Hello everyone, welcome to the When at Work podcast. You're with your host Julian Lee. Today I'm joined by Laura Stone and Mark Firehammer. Stephanie had to take care of some urgent matters. Alright, how did I go with the names? Everything correct?
You did it. You nailed it, Julian.
These were
Two thumbs up.
Pretty easy names today. Alright, let's load up the board. The categories today are 19th century, facts and figures, horses, movie studios, personal finance, and weather. Miss Laura can kick things off on the left. What would you like?
Let's do personal finance for 300.
Personal finance for 300. The interest or dividends you get, or a sign saying you must give up the right of way. Do you know it, Mark?
Sign.
I do not know that.
Well,
Do you want me to?
yes, yeah, have a crack if you know it.
It's something about signposts for success, or signposts to guide us.
I know it.
Mark?
I don't have a buzzer. Yield.
Yield is correct.
Yeah.
Well
Well
done, Mark. You're on 300 and you're in control. What would you like?
Let's do weather for 300.
Weather for 300.
Weather.
Tyros or Tyros was an experimental prototype for these. Sounds like something in ancient Greece. I don't know. One of the old fellas was.
I'm gonna take a guess at it, Julian. Yep. I think it was an all-weather tire for automobiles.
All-weather tire for automobiles. Weather satellite. It was the first attempt at a satellite. I was going to say it was one of those barometry machines. You ever seen those? My granddad used to have one. I don't know what they did. I was fascinated by it. Anyway, Mark, you're still in control. What would you like?
Okay, let's do. I'm gonna back down on the complexity a little bit and go movies and studios for 200.
Movies and studios 200. They built their first sound stage in 1931, but didn't release a live action figure until 1950. Sorry, they built their first sound stage in 1931, but didn't release a live action feature until 1950.
I swear I should know this one.
One of the big studios.
Yeah, I can see the logo. What's the one?
The buzzer?
You just holler, Laura, if you know it.
All right. You mean holler it out? Is that what you
Holler
said?
it out.
I would say MGM Studios.
MGM. Let's take a look. Disney was the one we looked for. Oh, that's the clue.
Oh, see, I would have gotten it wrong too. Good try, though.
They didn't do a live action, but they had the animated ones with Mickey Mouse, etc. Now, Mark, you're still in control, though.
Okay, let's do facts and figures for 100.
Facts and figures for 100. Of the 27 people listed on baseball's disabled list. Oh, this is impossible.
Oh, yeah.
This is an old question, but you could still pick the position. Of the 27 people listed on baseball's disabled list, which I think is seriously injured, July 29, 1986, 20 of them played this position. So which position seems to get people seriously injured the most in baseball?
I'd say pitcher.
Good answer. Do you want to have a guess, Laura?
Yeah, I would say first base.
First base. That's a good answer too. I would say catcher because the batters crash into them all the time. Pitcher is correct, Mark. Well done.
Well done, Mark.
Thank you.
Were you thinking arm injuries?
Well, I had a friend in the majors, and he was hurt all the time in his entire 20-year career, so yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Well, not that he was injured, but that you had a friend in Major League Baseball.
He always transcended the injuries. He was amazing, like Superman.
Wow, cool. Well, what would you like, Mark?
Well, let's stay with what's working. Let's do facts and figures, this time for 200.
Facts and figures for 200. According to Henry Adams, number of letters the average US adult received during the entire year of 1800. Henry Adams. Who's Henry Adams, do we know? And was 1800 when the war was on?
It's There was probably a war in 1800. Not sure which one it would be. I'm going to say, though, that the number of letters, I'm going to guess.
The average person.
Yeah, 3.
Laura, do you want to have a guess?
I would
Go
say
lower.
1.
1 is correct. All right, that was a bit dirty of me. So, Laura, you got it, but I'm going to give you a clue later on, Mark. Laura, what would you like?
Let's do weather for 100.
Weather for 100. In the US, most rainy days per year, up to 350, occur in this state.
I think it's like Seattle.
Seems pretty rainy.
Washington State.
Washington State. Mark, do you have any idea?
I would have guessed the same state, Washington.
I'll give you a clue, Mark. An easy clue. Think tropical.
Hawaii.
Hawaii is correct. All right, we're even
Ding, ding, ding,
on the big clues. Mark, what would you like?
All right, let's do personal finance for 400.
Personal finance for 400. This Fidelity mutual fund shares its name with a Portuguese explorer.
Oh my.
I think it's also a map maker.
Magellan.
Yeah. Magellan. I think it's
Magellan.
That's the one. Well done, Mark. What would you like?
Let's stick with what's working. Let's do personal finance for 500.
500 personal finance. Discount bonds, which as their names suggest, pay no dividends.
True or false? That's false.
They pay 0 dividends. That's a clue.
Okay.
Hopefully they're still around. There's a few of these types of financial things that are no longer around.
I've already given away my answer, so Laura, you should jump on that one.
0 coupons is what we were looking for. Are they still
Oh,
around?
you're looking for the name. Okay.
Yeah. Tough
Gotcha.
one. Pretty obscure. Mark, you still in control? What would you like?
Still in control. All right, let's see. Let's do something wild and go for horses. 200.
Horses, 200. Of a senator, Civil War hero, or horse, identity of the Justin Morgan for whom the Morgan is named. So is he a senator, a Civil War hero, or a horse? Justin Morgan. Have we heard of Justin Morgan?
I think he's a senator.
Let's take a look. He's a horse, of course.
He's a horse.
I guess it's
My neighbor was into the Morgan.
We're in the horse category. I guess that was the real main clue. What would you like, Mark?
Let's do movies and studios for 300.
Movies and Studios 300. In 1971, this studio's president, Darrell F. Zanuck, fired head of production, his son, Richard.
This is true or false?
This studio, one of the big studios. We've had Disney.
Oh, name the studio.
Yeah,
Okay,
name
gotcha.
The studio.
I don't know this one.
The big one. The big one that you think of. When you think of studios, you see a picture in your mind.
I see the lion, but for the life of me, I can't remember the name.
Columbia?
I think.
Or MGM. Oh, MGM is studio, is the lion. Isn't it?
You locking in? Which one are you locking in?
MGM.
It's 20th Century Fox. I thought it was.
Oh,
MGM.
20th Century, of course.
I guess the two big ones that you think of, yeah, the 20th Century Fox and MGM, but MGM first. That was the one I thought first.
Yep.
We're all wrong. Never mind. Mark, what would you like?
I'm still in control, huh? Let's go back to weather. Maybe we'll get lucky. Let's do weather for 400.
On another note, you can almost guarantee MGM's going to be an answer out of those 3 questions.
Well, apparently not.
There's 3 left. Though named for snow, it's the dirtiest state in the US. Which state is named after snow?
Named for
Might be a
snow.
native term. Is there any native named states? Yeah, a lot of native words like Nebraska. Is that native?
Yeah, and it's very close to the Italian word or the Spanish word for snow.
I don't know what the
state.
answer is. I have no idea on this one, so don't think I'm pushing you one way or the other.
I think it's Nebraska.
Nevada.
Nevada. Of
Now, what
course.
does Nevada mean snow? And why is Nevada dirty? Just because of the casino?
Yeah, you think, there's desert there. You wouldn't think it would be the dirtiest, but I just learned something.
I think that might mean the most dirt. Well, that's not a good. That's not a clear question. That's.
I say we write to the management.
I'm writing to Alex Trebek, who's no longer with us. What would you like, Mark?
Let's try 19th century. We've been afraid of it. We've been avoiding it. Let's dive right in the middle, 300.
19th century, 2 of the 4 provinces that formed the new Dominion of Canada in 1867. You just need 2 out of the 4 big Canadian provinces.
That would have to be...
They seem to have 2 words, a few of them. Go.
Ontario.
Okay, yes.
And Ottawa.
Ottawa.
And
Quebec is another, yes.
Well, let's go with the ones you've given first of all. Ontario and Ottawa. Let's take a look. Ontario.
Nova Scotia. Okay. New Brunswick.
Nova Scotia,
Quebec.
New Brunswick, Quebec, Ontario. I can't get that one. Maybe if you had let you keep going, you would have got there eventually. But I think you just have to give 2, to be fair. Mark, you're still in control, I believe.
Let's go for an easy one because we feel like we need to get one right. Personal finance for 100.
Personal finance 100. This department puts the T in T-bills.
Treasury.
Treasury, quick and easy, is correct. Well done, Mark. Back on the correct side of things.
Personal finance for 200.
Personal finance 200. What the letters IRA stand for?
Individual retirement account.
Not the Irish Republican Army. Is correct, Mark.
All right, we're on a roll. Movie studios for 100.
Movie studios for 100. Now, I'm looking for MGM. I don't know where it is.
We'll eventually get it.
Lorimar Telepictures bought this studio's Culver City lot and will rename the Thalberg building, which I'm sure they did, as this is from the 80s, this question set. Mark?
So what are we naming? The name of the new building?
studio. And Culver
The studio.
City, is that a place? Does that give us a clue? Is that a suburb or
That's in Los Angeles, I
like
believe.
Hollywood?
Yeah. MGM, I'm just going to say it.
MGM. Let's have a look.
No, I think it's Pixar.
Laura?
But
Pixar, I'll give you a clue. This question is from 1986.
oh, so it's too early.
Definitely not
Never mind.
Pixar, yeah. All right, let's take a look
Columbia.
at MGM. MGM, finally!
We finally!
Excellent. I knew it was hiding somewhere. So what would be remaining? We've got Universal.
Columbia.
What was that?
Columbia.
Oh, yeah, Columbia, of course. Which was bought out maybe by Sony, but Columbia definitely back in 1986. All right, Mark, what would you like?
Let's do weather for 200.
Weather for 200. Glacial advances into Europe from the mid-16th to late 19th century are sometimes called little versions of these.
Little versions of these.
Glacial means ice.
Yeah. Bergs?
That's what I reckon, but I'm just totally guessing. They're mini ice ages is what we wanted.
Mini ice ages,
So
okay.
it was ice, but nevertheless, we got it wrong. Mark, what would you like?
Let's clear that category and go for weather for 500.
Weather 500, the instrument most often used to measure surface wind speed.
Anemometer.
Anemometer is correct. I did not know that one. Well done, Mark. A little bit of an amateur.
I had a neighbor who worked for Underwriters Laboratories, and he had like the first one
Ah,
in
okay.
his house. Yeah.
Well, you know some interesting people, Mark. Major league pitchers and all sorts of people. What would you like next?
I've had a colorful life. Let's do facts and figures, 300.
Facts and figures, 300. Bankrupt in 1931. Resurrected in 1932. It remained airborne by one congressional vote in 1971.
Made airborne. Must be an airline. American Airlines.
Well, I would give you a clue. Do you remember what happened in 1930-ish?
Was that the balloon? The
Think finance.
the crash.
Yeah, the big stock market crash was in about 1929, 1930. So it went broke in I'm just guessing, broke in 1931, and it almost went down again in 71. I don't know. But it could be an airplane. What was your airplane answer, Mark?
My airplane was American Airlines.
American Airlines. All right, let's take a look, because I have no idea. Wow, it was an airline. It was Lockheed.
Lockheed. Oh.
Which is now Lockheed Martin. Mark, what would you like?
Okay. I want to get something in horses. Horses for 100.
Horses for 100. Google estimates it to be over 60 million. I changed this. This used to say Encyclopedia Britannica estimate.
Oh, estimated over 60 million.
And we're in horses as a category.
What kind of horse? 60 million. A rocket engine.
It is the estimated world horse population.
I was thinking horsepower at Atlas V rocket.
They did a census and they posted their letters in, and we got 60 million back. Mark,
that's a lot of horses.
It is a lot of horses. We've got a few.
But more importantly, it's a lot of manure too.
It is.
Let's try horses one more time. 300.
Horses for 300. The small Welsh pony was bred to work in the confined spaces of these. Subterranean confined spaces.
Mines. Oh, mines.
Narrow it down and I'll give it to you.
Coal mines.
Coal mines is correct. Well done, Mark.
All right, let's keep going on that. Horses for 400.
Horses for 400. Suffolk, Shire and Clydesdale breeds are this type of horse whose name means pulling.
Whose name means pulling?
Something in front of horse. Like, it's just a general term for all of those types of horses which can pull things.
Cart horse. Wagon horse.
All right, here's a clue. Both of you get ready. It starts with a D. It seems to be more of a British term.
Yeah.
It's a draft horse.
A draft horse, of course. Draft beer, Clydesdale. Oh, come on. Should have had that.
Oh, is that why they
one
call
more
it
time.
draft beer? Because they got to put them on the back of the horse wagon.
Yeah. Did you see that cute Super Bowl commercial of the little pony Clydesdale pushing the barrel into town with his nose?
No, I skipped the ads. I did watch the
So
Super Bowl, though. Poor
All right, horses for 500.
I just watched for the ads.
Yeah, that's what everyone in my family does. And I'm like, what are you doing? Are you mad? Patrick Mahomes should have just watched the ads. Mark, what would you like?
Let's do horses for 500.
Horses for 500. Until reaching this milestone, stallions, geldings, and mares alike are known as maidens.
2-year-olds.
So what is the milestone that stallions, geldings, and mares achieve? But prior
2-year-old.
to that, they're called maidens.
2-year-old.
Pregnancy. No, they finally give birth.
Well, stallions is a male horse.
Male.
So
Yeah.
what is something that both male and female horses do, and they try to reach a milestone, and when they do...
Oh, win a race? Like a horse race?
Is correct. Well done, Laura Stone.
Whew!
Back in control, finally.
Let's go 19th century 100.
19th century 100. In 1819, R. Laennec invented this doctor's instrument, but they didn't say to warm it before use.
Stethoscope.
Stethoscope. Oh, yes, I remember getting one of those plunked on the chest by the doctor. I think they still use them.
Yeah.
I actually have one. It's great fun to listen to the cats purr.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
Let's go for a nice...
Sorry.
What's that?
Just go.
That's all right.
I'm just rambling. I'm getting off topic. ADD, man.
Let's do 19th century 200.
200, 19th century. When Papa Pedro abdicated in 1831, 5-year-old Pedro II acquired this South American country's crown. Little King Pedro II was 5. What country was that in South America? Which one had a king?
I was going to say Argentina.
Yeah, they seem like they might have a king, or maybe Venezuela. That's what I was thinking. But there's a lot of countries down there. Let's take a look if it is Argentina. It's Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah.
All right. So a little bit off to the east. Okay. Let's keep going on this 19th century for $400.
400, 19th century. The ill-planned 1825 Decembrist rising in this country was suppressed on the same day it occurred. It's got to be either United States, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland. Could be Canada.
It sounds like something in the UK.
Does, doesn't it? I tell you what, which country had a lot of skirmishes in the UK area? And I gave the answer for a group that was a part of it for one of the questions. I don't know, I'm just totally guessing. But if I'm going to think of a place that had uprisings, to be sure...
Ireland.
Yeah. Ireland? Yeah, let's take a look. Talk about a bum steer. It's Russia.
Oh, my.
Russia.
Decemberist. That's a term I'm not familiar with. Is that happening in December?
Must have, yeah.
Time.
Russia is number one ally of the United States at the moment. It's incredible. Laura.
Let's go there.
Oh, we could have a whole loads of fun with this one. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Don't go there.
It's a bad week to stop drinking.
Yeah, really. Let's go switch it up a little bit to the movie studios for 400.
Movie studios, 400. We've had MGM. What have we got? Universal Columbia we're looking for. Studio which has bought us 6 Friday the 13th movies so far. Well, probably more like 10. Which studio bought us 6 Friday the 13th movies so far? Thanks, guys. Who does the Friday the 13th?
I believe it's Columbia. We haven't used that yet, have we?
We haven't. You know what's making me hesitate? Because it's a slasher film, they always have like a sub-studio that does the horror movies, and they don't put it on the main one because they've got people getting stabbed in the throat and stuff. Let's take a look. It could be Columbia. It was Paramount. Well, Paramount's one of the big ones, and they didn't.
We totally missed that one. We haven't even used Paramount.
Paramount.
I have to confess, I'd never watched a single Friday the 13th.
You and me both. I don't even.
I'll tell you what. I watch. I got 3 boys. They love all this stuff. The only one worth watching is the first one, and the big twist is the killer is the mum and not Jason.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was the mum, and that was what...
And do we learn that in 1, or do we have to watch 2 to learn
No, you learn it in 1, and you go around thinking somebody else is doing it, and then, because it's all from her... It's a good movie for a slasher, that one, but the rest of them are just garbage. Anyway,
okay.
My kids reckon they're all fantastic. Peak cinema. All right, who's in control? Laura.
I think I still am, but I feel like now we've narrowed this list down so much that I am bound to get this right on movie studios for 500.
Movie studios for 500. The largest... hang on. We're going to England. The largest studio stage in the world is the 007 stage at this English studio. If you're a James Bond nut, you might have seen this.
I loved James Bond. I would watch with my father. And,
Okay, I'll give you a clue.
okay,
It's
I'm ready.
something wood. Not Hollywood. Think tree wood. But it's something and then wood.
I would.
I think I know.
Got it. Shoot.
I think it's Maplewood.
Close. It's pine wood is what we were looking for.
Pinewood. That's the
You-
first
you-
thing that popped
your
into my
brain
head.
knew
But then
it
I
was
thought,
a P. Yeah, your brain was just going that direction. Laura, you're still in control. What would you like? Facts and figures or 19th century?
Let's go facts and figures for 400.
400. It's the longest running TV game show still in production. I'll give you a clue. It's not Jeopardy.
Oh, okay.
So what are the ones that have been around forever? Let's rattle
Like
them
the
off.
price, the price is right.
Wheel of Fortune.
Family Feud.
Family
Fortune,
Feud. One of those.
I think it's.
I would say
You're in
it's
control.
Family Feud, Price is Right. I would say it's Price is Right.
Price is right. And so is your answer. Well done. 2 questions left. 19th century. Facts and figures. 500 each.
Let's go for facts and figures for 500.
And I'll just give you a bit of a heads up here. You are 900 points behind. There is 1,000
gotta get
points on the board. So if you get these right, you could take the lead. Facts
All right.
and figures.
It's exciting.
500. The close race between these two future presidents resulted in a record 62.8% voter turnout. Keep in mind, this is from 1986, this question. They always have a current question with these types of questions. Who was running back then in the 1986?
I'm going to say let me just work backwards because Ronald Reagan, I'm thinking, but give me a second.
When did Ronnie get in? Ronnie Reagan. Seems to be around about that time.
And it was pre-Bush, it was post-Bush.
And it says
Bush.
2 future presidents.
Oh, so that means that.
Both of them served at some point.
I see.
So it's got to be.
So it could be like, who was before Reagan? LBJ or no?
Oh, no, Ford. Ford was.
Yeah, Ford.
And the Iran-Contra. So Reagan got in 1980.
Yeah, and there was
because
something to do with that scandal, the Contra scandal with was it Storm and Norman or Storm and Norman Schwarzkopf, or was that later?
Schwarzkopf, I believe, was
Oliver someone. Oliver North.
Oliver Stone.
Oliver North.
Oliver North,
yeah.
Because of the Iran-Contra scandal that should never have happened. But that was 84 was when Reagan came in, and Ford was in 80.
So Jimmy Carter.
Oh, Carter. Carter was right before.
Oh, Carter was in the 70s, wasn't he?
Yeah. So I have to name 2 close races for future president resulting in a record turnout. I would say Reagan. And you said, what did you say about 1986?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, that this question came out in 1986. It was about the time that Reagan got in. We can't remember exactly when Reagan got in. Maybe 2 years before, I think we decided.
But
he was president in 86.
But couldn't this also have been around Nixon and Kennedy?
Absolutely. Because we don't have to. I was just saying maybe it's going to be around that time period. But yeah, definitely the 70s is within reach for this question.
I would go back further because it was such a scandal.
60s,
with
yeah.
Nixon and LGBT.
I'm not a crook.
Yeah. But then also with the assassination of Kennedy happening, and then the LBJ came in. So it might be LGBT. I think it was that.
LGBT.
No. Johnson and Nixon.
Johnson, Nixon. Let's take a look. It was Nixon and Kennedy. Close.
All right.
Yeah.
Look at half.
Yeah, you got the. We were getting there. The logic.
That was a nail biter.
It was. The logic was sound. We were digging into the depths of the old memories.
My partner would be ashamed that I didn't know that. She's big into political history.
She's probably going to watch it back
Wait,
and
so that's
scream out the
Kennedy-
answers.
That
All
makes
right,
sense.
here we go. It's what
Okay.
Livingstone was looking for in Africa when Stanley found him. Now, this is a famous book.
Like Livingston.
Dr. Livingstone, I presume, and he was
Oh.
in there looking for something in Africa. It wasn't anything racist, which it could have been with these old books, but he was looking for something quite innocently. What was he looking for?
I was gonna say something like monkeys, but give me a moment. It's what Livingston was looking for in
He was
Africa.
obsessed with the River Nile. It's something to do with that.
Oh,
Shoot your shot.
headwaters.
Sorry, Mark?
The headwaters of the Nile.
What does that mean?
No, it was,
Where the river begins.
The source?
Yep.
You got it. Well done, Mark.
That's actually a feature of the movie from Disney, Secondhand Lions. Did you see it?
Secondary what? Rains.
Secondhand Lions.
Secondhand Lions. No, you haven't heard of
Yeah.
that one.
There's a big quote when the main character gets in a bar fight. He's an old man, and these two old men are epic, in their communities. They live these epic lives, and he gets in a bar fight with these teenagers, and the boy says to him, "Who do you think you are?" And Robert Duvall's character says, "I'm Hub McCann. I've fought 2 world wars on 3 continents and countless others, led thousands of men into battle with nothing but horses and swords to artillery and tanks. I've seen the headwaters of the Nile, tribes and native no white man's ever seen before, killed a man and loved only one woman with a passion a flea like you couldn't begin to understand. That's who I am."
Wow. Mark, you sound like you've done a bit of acting training.
I was just
You
thinking.
memorized bits from movies, have you?
Well, no, I was actually, I wrote a very popular blog in the early 90s called The Seeker's Guide to Great Movies.
Ah, so you were.
And that was
you were
one of them.
really
It was
buff.
supposed to be released on DVD in England, but they ran out of money and I never got to do the project.
Ah,
But
interesting.
I've watched a lot of great movies.
Well, as a movie buff, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, favorite movie of all time. It's a hard one to answer because different movies serve different
It changes
purposes.
as well for me.
Yeah. I've got to say, I've watched Gladiator more times than I can remember, the original.
Yeah.
And I think that's a masterpiece. So I think right now I'd have to say that because that's the mood I'm in.
Yeah. When he goes back to his and his village has been all raided and his family's dead.
Oh my God.
That's when they get you on that movie, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
let's go.
And when he has to reveal who he truly is right there in the middle of the Coliseum, you know.
That's right. Yes, because he was previously favored by the emperor, and the emperor
Yeah.
did not like his son, which was
Right.
played by Javier. What was his name? Not Bardem, the Joker guy.
Yeah, I know who you
Phoenix.
mean. He's got kind of an odd deformity on his lip. Joaquin Phoenix, yeah.
Joaquin
Yeah.
Phoenix. Yeah.
There's another line from that movie that is very memorable where he's in the Colosseum and he says, Maximus Decimus, leader of the army of the North, loyal servant to the one true emperor of Rome, Marcus Aurelius, husband of a slain wife and father of a murdered child.
Yes. Did anyone
So-
find it strange that he had a thick Australian accent?
Yes.
Oh, Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just a bit off.
Good movie. Anyway, well played, Mark. You've won the game. So let's kick off with you and tell us a bit about what you've been up to. You're a creative person, and what types of ways are you channeling that creativity, and who are you helping?
Yeah, creativity has been a thread of my life since I was just a wee lad, and I was a songwriter in the music business for 20 years, and I stopped writing songs in 2005 when I stopped performing, because here I am, a man without a band. Why should I write songs that no one's ever going to hear? Well, fast forward to 2025, and AI is now capable of allowing you to take a well-crafted song that you've written and then make it sound like anything you hear in your head. So I released 4 albums in January after a 20-year hiatus. And that unlocked a floodgate because I now heard these songs that I never intended to record because they weren't written for me. Now it came alive and it opened the floodgates of creativity. I'm writing songs again. But the really important thing for me is that creative thread in my personality is the same thread that I use to create things of tremendous value for humanity. During the pandemic, the company I work for created Fitstreams.club, which is an online fitness platform. Pilates, yoga, strength training, kin stretch, animal flow, that sort of thing. So you watch it on your mobile device or on your computer and you work out wherever you are. Really important during the pandemic, still important today. But I'm not a guy that will ever go to the gym. Never have been, never will. I don't enjoy it. Just like I don't enjoy lobster. I'm not going to eat it, even if someone says it's good for me. So my partner, Katrina Holly, and I created a new paradigm for taking care of the human body called Feelness. And we're in talks right now because it's a paradigm shift. You get a lot of resistance to an idea that there's something available that's not as arduous and difficult as fitness. And a lot of people try and fail in fitness. And Feelness is based upon your ability to do the 9 tasks that you do every day of your life: getting up out of bed, sitting in a chair, getting up and down from the floor, getting out of a chair, looking over your shoulder, reaching to a high shelf. And Feelness is based upon when you have a challenge doing one of those, you simply go and you do the movement prescription. There's collections of 7 easy functional movements. And when you do them in the combinations that we've created, they restore your ability to do whatever task you felt a challenge in very, very short order. For me, I spent in July of 2023, when we first launched the prescriptions, 28 days at 60 years old. It took me 28 days to go from walking with pain, knee pain, heel pain, hip pain, and low back pain, 832 minutes of doing 10 minutes a time, 3 times a day. My walk is completely restored, and 2 years later, here I am, 62, and I walk with the joy of a child. So we're in the midst of getting this out to all the people in the world that also don't resonate with pumping iron and shedding massive amounts of weight.
Yes, 100%. And being able to move around is very important as you get a bit older. And the moment you stop moving around, I just remember my grandmother. She stopped walking when she was about maybe 60, and then basically just packed up and the almost lost the ability to walk just because she didn't do any exercise or anything. But this back then, women didn't exercise at all. I don't think. I'm sure a few of them did. Even men were smoking and drinking beer, and I don't remember anybody. This is kind of in the 80s, early 80s.
Yes.
And but the point is that if you don't, stay on top of your ability to move, it quickly will leave you. And
move it or lose it, as they say here.
Lose it. And like you said, so you have key, I guess, movements that anybody is doing, and it gives the ability for anybody to report an area of trouble that they have if they can't do these normal everyday movements. For me, it's like tying my shoes or cutting my toenails. I got a big fat gut, and the flexibility's not there. What is the prescription for that? Eat less.
Yeah, the prescription that will solve that, Julian, is getting up and down from the floor, and there's 3 movement groups involved in that. And you could probably restore that. I'm round in the middle too. So 2 years ago, I couldn't cut my toenails either, and I couldn't see the bottom of my foot. Now I can sit on the ground, put my left foot or right foot up on the other thigh, and literally see the bottom of the foot, which makes it easier to like bend the toes forward and do a quick trim rather than trying to do them from above. And it's remarkable how little effort it takes for the body to remember how to do what it used to be able to do, because you're working with the nervous system, and the nervous system, I call it the oof, When you bend over to tie your shoes, do you make that noise, Julian?
I
Oof.
do, yes.
Okay. Oof.
Say something
Oof
else.
that's the trigger. That's the body's way of saying, hey, Julian, you're out of function. Out of function. Oof. Right? If you follow the prescription for that particular oof, the nervous system says, oh, I see what you're doing now. You're getting back to the basics, doing the things that every infant does in the first year of its life with no help from anyone. And ultimately, it starts running in month 13. That's how powerful this is, because we didn't invent anything. We just organized it in a way that the body remembers. And it's just remarkable. And to help thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even billions of people to solve the problems that they're now blaming on age is the vision every day that I get out of bed.
It's amazing, Mark, because I thought I'd seen everything in terms of health and fitness, products, services, whatever. This is a totally new reimagining of it, and it's such a huge market, but you are targeting specifically people that are just, they don't want to, I don't want a six-pack or anything like that. I don't want to go to the gym. I used to play sport. I'm not playing sport ever again. I forget that noise. And you just want to be able to get a bit of movement back. So this sounds perfect. I reckon a lot of people would really like this. So how do we get involved in this? Do we need to get an app for the phone or what?
No, we went with just a mobile responsive website. It works really, really well on the mobile. And the team and I worked really hard on making sure that once you have your prescription loaded, it's a single click to move through the 7 movements in any one group. So you don't have to do a lot of navigating. And the videos that show you the movement are on average less than 40 seconds, like 34, 35 seconds. So this isn't complicated. And a lot of it you'll recognize because functional movement is built into fitness. But the problem with fitness is load and repetition, like squats. You see these guys doing squats with 200 pounds on their shoulder. If you do squats with no weight at all, you're working on your ankles, your lower legs, and your hip mobility. So that's the whole thing. No load, no repetition. Just put your body in those end range of motion for 10 minutes at a time each day. And the body says, oh, that feels good.
Yeah. I mean, your body, you know, in some cases is going to weigh 200 plus pounds. So it's it's not like you're not lifting weight. I mean,
right. And we're swimming in gravity, as I like to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We're swimming in gravity.
Yeah, so that's really good, and it seems easy and accessible to do. And how do you deal with the accountability problem? How do you make people turn up and quit?
The human being. I'm glad you brought that up. The human being is the variable that's the trigger. That's the tricky part. Is that no one will get any results if they don't do the the actual movement. And we know there's lots of people that have bought into the idea that the decline is a product of aging. And that mindset itself is enough to keep a lot of people from even doing that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm just old. So we've got a lot of blog posts. We've got some sheets that they print out. It's like a deal they make with themselves. They write it down. I'm going to do this 10 to 30 minutes every day. And I'm going to then either use a printed out version or a spreadsheet where I say, I did this for 10 minutes. This is how it felt. This is any other observations I make. So that they have a record of when they either fail or when they ultimately succeed. And we're constantly developing new ways for people to stay accountable to themselves. But ultimately, the best solution is, and I have a conversation later on today that's about this, is to do it with others. Because when you have a group that helps keep each other accountable, that's going to make it more successful, and you get to celebrate the victories together. And who doesn't want the joy and the excitement of getting your body back and having been the one to give that gift to yourself? You know, instead of relying on an expert or going to a PT or whatever. So we're in talks with a company today that's going to integrate with us and give that kind of a Facebook-like group without being on Facebook, because we're just not into what they're doing over there. and give that community aspect to the journey. And there's an affiliate program too. So that, let's say I have 5 sisters, right? I know they're all older than me and they're all failing even worse. So I get my account and then I invite them to have an account. I make 20% back on their account. So now my account is free. So now I've got my group and it's not costing me anything, right? So as a group, we're going to be more successful, spread the word even more, because at the price point that we're at, Julian, it has to be inexpensive. It can't be expensive. We can't spend a bunch of money on advertising. We need to leverage community word of mouth and small group success to spread the word. And 6 degrees of separation says we can reach everyone on the planet with, 6 people away from any one user.
Cool. And are you able to talk about the price, like for?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Month to month recurring is just under $20, $19.95. If the person says I'm down for this, they can buy a full year, and it's significantly less. It's $149 for the year. Cancel anytime. We're not interested in taking people's money if they're not feeling the success. Every now and then we get someone who subscribes and say, this is cool, but I think I'm really more into fitness. I want something more aggressive. We just send them over to Fitstreams where they can do, Pilates and yoga and strength training. Yeah.
You know what you should do, if people out there watching, is you should pay for 1 month, try it out, and then do the whole year and lock it in. And because it's going to take time to do, but at least you can just try it out for 1 month. And if you lose interest, then you've lost nothing. But really, I mean, $149 to get your health under control, and you can just do all the exercises at home. You don't have to go to a gym with all the weird, intimidating gym people. Sorry.
Oh my God, and the machinery. Oh my God.
Yeah. I used to do that, but these days, oh my God.
There's a statistic that motivates me every day. In the United States, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
300,000 adults over the age of 65 fall and break their hip. Each and every one of those falls is avoidable if you, say 5 years before you've lost your ability to stand stably. If you'd done the 10 to 30 minutes a day of these easy functional movements, you would not be a part of this statistic. But what's saddest about that statistic, my parents fall into this category. They did not plan to end up in assisted living, but they didn't plan not to, right? So all the money that they had saved, literally millions of dollars, every penny was spent on their care instead of, say, a world cruise with the whole family, an experience that they could share. And so the preservation of generational wealth, which is getting harder and harder in America, the preservation of generational wealth from that point of view of physical well-being and not having to spend it on medical care, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
There's actually a lot of work done called backcasting, is thinking about the age that you want to live to. And then today, doing the things, the physical work that you need to do to have your body be the way you want it to be at that age. And so none of us want to be crippled and in a chair and sitting alone, or even with a family, but we all want to be active, and then we want to die immediately. And so the question is, am I going to be paddleboarding until I'm 120? If so, what do I need to be doing today? It's a really critical component to our well-being. So it's an interesting place.
And like you say, there's nothing worse than spending the last 20 years with ailing health and not being able to hang out with your grandkids and go places and all that stuff. I've seen it, like my people in my family, their health just disappears, and they didn't do any physical exercise. And I just think, there's the suffering that you get now versus at just doing something. It's just so minuscule. Just if you could just find something that is achievable, like this is something that is achievable, and it just seems so much easier than not doing anything. So that's pretty cool. My Feelness, a brand new take on fitness, I guess targeted towards over 50s, would you say? Is that correct?
Well, right now, because it represents a new choice, and eventually it'd be a good idea if the 20, 30, and 40-year-olds that aren't going to go to the gym, they get into the habit of realizing there's something they can do their whole life that will keep them fit forever.
Yeah.
But right now, we're focusing on the over 50 crowd.
Yeah, and it's a good stepping stone. I mean, even if you do want to go down the gym path, but you're completely out of shape, doing something like this kind of bridges the gap and gets you into a point where you can start looking at other types of fitness as well, like rather than
Exactly, that's a good point.
diving into the gym. All right, well, that's great. Thank you very much for that, Mark.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Firestone? Was it
Hammer.
What was it? Something fire?
Firehammer.
Firestone's the tire people. Mark Firehammer, thank you very much. All
My
right,
pleasure.
let's pop over to Laura. Laura Stone. Oh, that's where I got the stone from. Laura, tell us about what you've been up to. You used to be kind of a teacher, is that right? Well, educator.
So I am up to, actually, I just published my third book, and I'm pretty excited because it's been something that I've been thinking about for 7-8 years, but the work has been really building over the last 20 plus years. And the book is called Team Purpose to Performance. And the reason why this is so exciting and special is rather than the work I'm doing just be reserved for the C-suite, anybody who is leading a team, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's groups of people in the upper echelons, can now take this work and do it themselves. And the reason why it's also very fun is it's not your typical executive book. Just a small visual is this is what the book looks like, but the inside is visually helpful so that it's just very accessible. And it's the same process that I used with CVS when they were eliminating tobacco. So it's big legacy making changes that teams can make. When they have to be doing things where they're unclear about their future or they're in a crisis mode, they can do this themselves.
Right. So you mentioned C-suite. Did you? C-suite?
Yes.
Tell me what that is just briefly so we know what page we're on.
Yeah. So the C-suite is an acronym for the C, using like Chief Executive Officer or Chief Human Resource Officer, or anybody who is like the Chief Operating Officer. And so these are the people who are running the big companies or even small to mid-sized companies. But a lot of times it's all about alignment. And, you know, what we were just talking about the sort of fuel for our body, the work I do is the fuel for our mind, and are using our body as an indicator to help us understand when we're out of that alignment. And how do we bring people together and figure out what's going to make us proud? And that's a word. And there's 3 main questions that organizations and specifically leaders with their teams never ask is, what's the purpose of this team? Like if this team had to figure out, why are we here? What's the work that only we can do? That's the cornerstone of this work. And then the second question is like, okay, if that's our work, then what are the core tensions or paradoxes that we must address in order to advance our purpose? And the last question is all about outcomes, not so much the activities we need to do, but what are the outcomes we want to hold ourselves accountable to that makes us feel good, that makes us really excited, that, you know, gets us, you know, up in the morning and excited to be doing the work we're doing. So that's the main focus.
And what types of companies, you know, need this help generally? And what are some of the kind of symptoms of companies where the kind of team vision is lacking? If you can just describe some of those.
Yeah, so first off, it's got to be leaders who know they can do something better with their teams, that they're not getting as much out of their teams as they could be. And then the other question is, how do you actually know when the team is really turned on? Because we know the research is that the majority, like 70%, 74% of Americans specifically, and they've done global studies as well, are not engaged in their work, which is incredible, which is like, wait a second, there's such untapped potential that if we could have better leadership and leaders who inspire us and help us reach our own full potential, we will be that much better for it. And so it's small, mid, large size companies. But I have to say, the places where I work, the majority of it is with leaders who are like places like CVS, Unilever. I started my work back at Fidelity Investments. But it's the mid-sized companies that I'm finding, and small to mid-sized companies that are the ones that don't have an in-house leadership development focus or the resources. And then they use us and welcome us, and we partner together to help these leaders get the tools, but more importantly, the mindset, because this is a really interesting study. Just if you're interested, there was a work done that showed who is it, like when you teach people, for example, listening skills, people have read, oh, I just have to paraphrase, or I have open body language. And these are all the things you're supposed to do. But change only happens 10 to 30% of the time if we focus on the doing. But if we go back one step into the thoughts and feelings, we can actually make change happen 60 to 80% of the time. So it's aligning those thoughts and feelings as a team is the unlock for huge opportunity. And it doesn't have to take huge amounts of time. And it's really fun.
Yeah, it's much better when you get if you're in a team environment when you don't know what it is, but everything is working good. Everybody seems to have a clear idea of what they're doing and what direction they should be going in. And on the flip side, sometimes you'll walk into a department or whatever, and it's wrong. Everybody's miserable, and it's just horrific place to even be around. So if you are experiencing some of those symptoms, it's just not working. Nobody knows what they're supposed to be doing. You've got all sorts of problems. It's a problem that you need to fix. Obviously, the quicker you do it, the better. And Laura, you're a consultant as well. Well, primarily is what this is all about. You're a consultant, so you go in there and you help companies sort all of this out. Is that correct?
We do. We're also trying to figure out, and we've landed the plane on this, and it's exciting. We're finally getting huge results by doing kind of a both and, where you no longer have to have a consultant come in or have someone leave for 2 or 3 days or 2 weeks over 6 months. We've integrated this and created a hybrid experience. So part of it is when things are really messy and sticky, yes, it is sometimes really appropriate to bring us in because it just makes it so much faster and easier. And we're also really diving into helping emerging leaders learn these skills and tools, because now people are not investing in this mid-level leadership, and they are the future of the company. And they know they need to be doing something, but they don't know how to do it. That balances great results with great impact. So that's what we're up to.
Yeah,
Such important work.
I can imagine that they just leave the middle management kind of on their own a fair bit, and it just seems to be very short-sighted. Now, you mentioned that you can do a lot of this stuff remotely. I would imagine that the best thing to do would be at least to start by doing it in person, at least to get the engagement right, and then you can sort of do a lot of it remotely. Does that ring true for you?
So that is most certainly one great way. And sometimes organizations can't do it. Sometimes you just have to start where they can start. And there's no one right way. It's just that there are elements and cornerstones that are very important. One is getting incredibly clear about what the outcomes are you want. Like, what does A+ performance really mean? And a lot of times organizations, leaders, and teams don't understand, what does this excellence mean to us? And are we doing it in terms of helping to support our stakeholders? And how are we doing that? Because a lot of times also these stakeholders have their own goals and performance metrics that we don't even understand, but yet we're supposed to be serving them. And we don't even know how we're doing it. So it's these kind of lessons that we integrate and do it as just in time. So the platform that we're using is not so much we're going to guide you. This is A, B, C. No. You go to the things that you need most that we are able to bring in, and then we integrate it into a really productive every other week session, just kind of like executive coaching can happen every 2 weeks. We do this, but it's not only high level content where it's tried and true, but it's also the network. It's working with people who are like-minded, who have different experience, but we leverage and support each other. And we're bringing them together in the person, but it's periodically, so people can dive in at any time rather than being cohort driven.
Laura, you're very good at communicating your offer, and I was almost going to pull my credit card out then. That was incredible. Both of you were very good.
Well, it's passionate. Like it's important work. We need great leaders today, especially today. And leadership is paramount to success. And I do believe that it's companies that are going to change this world. It's not going to be our government, God knows. It's going to be the leaders. And we need great leaders. So we need you. We need this kind of work that you're doing, which is giving other people opportunity to hear about options of how we take care of our body, how do we take care of our mind, how do we take care of our teams. And that's going to be the way, little by little, we have the impact to change this world in a way that's going to make it better.
Yeah, leadership is key in the business. If all of a sudden, magically, everybody starts coming in early, trying hard, and when they have a leader that inspires them and a leader that they respect, and it's just absolutely crucial to get this bit sorted. And it's almost as if you do fix this and get good leaders in your business, you just can't go wrong. I mean, well, you can always go wrong, but you're pretty much on a good path.
You are so right. And this is the part that's the magic of it, is just trying to unlock as a leader, what is the potential? What is it that drives your people? And most importantly, like, what's the work we have to do together? Because it's not just about having great, like, team building, rah. That's not what this is about. It's about what's the purpose here and the impact we want to have, so that we know clearly the financials, that this is the return we need, but what are we doing to do it at such a level that engages people? I don't think it's an either or. I truly believe we can make a lot of money and do amazing things with it, and do good and be good to ourselves as well. It's not an either or on any of those.
Wonderful. Well, that's Laura Stone, everybody. laurastone.com. I've got the link in the show notes. You can book a call with Laura and just get a kind of idea of what you can do and what you can work on. And, it's no, Laura's not going to sign you up. I was just talking about how good she is as a salesperson, but just a casual chat and get an idea of what you can do. And, it's so important. You've got to talk to experts. Every time I do, cause sometimes I think I know everything, and I just get reminded that I just absolutely do not know anything. So that's Laura. Have a chat to Laura, book a call in, and there's all sorts of ways you can do this. You can do it remotely. You can have Laura come and have a chat to everyone. One of the things I hate is meetings that just take time and don't do anything, and training falls into that category. And so Laura's got the ability to have a every 2 week session with the key people. I mean, how easy is that? How long does the session go for?
It's just 1 hour.
1 hour.
And then it's kind of like being in college. There are office hours available that if you're really stuck, you come in at the off weeks, and we have other options to be able to help you, because it's just in time. That's where we know all the leadership happens, is in the training. About 70% of a leader's progression happens on the job. So we need to work better on making that happen just in time, in the way they need it, not to what we think, but what you think.
Excellent. Well, that's Laura, everybody. laurastone.com. Also, thank you to Mark. Mark, your surname,
Firehammer.
Because I just can't. I just think it's not Hammer, surely. Mark Firehammer. It sounds like you're in American Gladiators.
That would have been cool, but I was about this big when I was a little kid, so
Maybe
I was no gladiator.
Well, don't forget, have a chat to Mark if you want to take control of your health. Thank you to both of our wonderful guests. That was a wonderful episode. I went way over time. I'm going to wrap things up. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao.